I guess I was actually going to lead off with
yeah.
you know, kind of talking a little bit about your background and
Yeah.
so like where are you from? And
So San Antonio, Texas is where I grew up. But I moved there, you know, gosh, second grade, and prior to that, my dad was Air Force, and so I was born actually in New York, in Niagara Falls, New York, and moved to Florida. This is before I could remember. This is just what I'm told. So moved to New York, and I guess my first memories is growing up we were in Tucson, Arizona, and then we actually lived in Tehran, Iran for a while. Actually about a year and a half before the revolution happened. And then we came home, and since then I've been living in San Antonio, Texas ever since halfway through the second grade. So that's my hometown.
so is that you mentioned your father was in the Air Force? You said? Is that kind of what led you or inspired you?
I think so. You know, we're going through high school, not really sure what I wanted to do. I knew that sitting behind a desk wasn't, you know, probably wasn't for me. So, and he always talked, you know, kindly about the Air Force. He had always positive things to say about it. And actually, his father was in the Air Force as well. So my grandfather, whose portrait is up there on the wall behind me, and then and also my great grandfather, just oddly enough, was in a flying squadron in World War I. So it was never, forced to go this route. But I think just because it was always a positive experience in their lives, that I gravitated toward it.
So was that like in high school you kind of set the...
Yeah, it was. But late in high school, I thought I was going to play baseball, actually, for a while. I was recruited to go play at a couple schools. One of them in particular was out in West Texas, Sul Ross University. It's a small school, beautiful baseball field. But I did the math in my head. I was like, well, my chance of becoming a pro baseball player, as opposed to going in the Air Force, you weigh the differences. And actually, Sul Ross, they did not have an ROTC there. And if they would have, I probably would have gone there and played baseball a little while and done ROTC. But because they didn't, I went and looked elsewhere and went up to Texas Tech University and went through the ROTC program there.
What position did you play in baseball?
I was recruited for first base. I actually, in high school, was catcher of all things. I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4" in high school too.
I told you.
Yeah. So I'm tall to play that position, but that's what I played throughout high school. But they would have recruited me for first base, although I'm not lefty, so not sure how that would have worked out.
I would have guessed pitcher.
Yeah, I can throw straight, but not very hard.
So from I think from the bio the Air Force has it, your first like actual assignment was here at Vandenberg?
Yeah, it sure was. It was when I first came in the Air Force in 1993, I came here to Vandenberg Air Force Base for missile training. So I was at ICBMs, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and the training for that is here, and it still is here today. And I came here for 4 months. I think I got here in April of 1993. Stayed here for 4 months, and I tell people to this day I do the newcomers brief, for people who are new to the base. And in that newcomers brief, there's lieutenants who are going through the course, and I tell them, I said my first 4 months in the Air Force were, it's a little bit sad to say, but no kidding, my best time in the Air Force. I had a group of friends in that class that we became so tight. We all went from here, and my whole class went up to Malmstrom Air Force Base, Montana. So that was my first like PCS duty station, but this was the first place I entered when I came into the Air Force. And but I had such a great group of friends that even to this day we're very, very tight.
So did you kind of, I guess, explore the area back then, or did you mainly just...
Well, you're fresh out of college, so you gravitated to those areas like San Luis Obispo, because it's kind of a college town, Santa Barbara. I explored those areas, with friends, but I'll tell you what, coming back now, there is a whole lot that is completely new to me. This base in particular, at the time, back in 1993, and I've been here off and on for TDYs, little business trips, for training and things, weeks or a few days at a time. But this base is so extensive that I really had no idea what was exactly on this installation until getting here. And even still, I've probably explored about 30–40% of the base. Yeah.
So back then, like Could you have imagined that you'd be back here at this position?
Gosh, no way, no way. It is one of those amazing things that to think back here in 1993 as a second lieutenant, you're just trying to get through the course, just trying to understand the Air Force. That was nowhere near on my mind. And frankly, up until about 2 years ago, it really wasn't on my mind. Being a wing commander, much less a wing commander here at Vandenberg Air Force Base. So, yeah, it's a shock. Even today, I have to kind of remind myself that of my position and what I'm doing.
So, how's that the transition? How's it gone since we've taken over here?
Yeah, well, it's gone great. It's, you know, you have to compare it to your previous jobs. One thing that was nice is that one of my previous jobs, I was a vice commander at a wing. So that gave me a lot of good experience about, you know, a little bit about what to expect, how a wing is, you know, organizationally, how it's structured. So there was really no surprises from that standpoint. But each wing is different. I've never been in this mission area, so I never did a launch before. So walking into that is new. But you know, I tell people, thank goodness that we have people that are here with experience, and there's continuity. So they're just not relying on the new guy, you know, to make these decisions. I've got a lot of good people that help me out.
So this your first launch as commander was your first launch ever?
First launch ever, exactly right. The first time I got to see one. So the first launch that I did was, you know, I'm inside the Range Operations Center. I'm sitting at a console, and what we get to see is on a video. But you know, I got to hear it go up as it leaves. But the first one that I know Ken got to see, like, hey, I hand it over to the vice commander. Vice commander, you take, you know, the console. I want to go out and see one. That one was a couple weeks ago. I think it was for the Iridium. No, it wasn't Iridium. It was the SpaceX launch, Formosat 5 launch. But that was the first one that I got to witness coming up off the ground and taking off in the air. So spectacular.
Yeah, what was that like? Just having the.
Yeah, man. If you've never seen one, there's really quite nothing like it. The sound, and plus knowing what goes into it. That's something new, right? You know, it's the 1,000 consecutive miracles of what it takes to get these things off the ground. So, you know, not only is it what the launch provider, you know, has to do in order to make that happen, but what we do here on the base to receive the rocket itself, make the payload on top of that rocket, get it out where it needs to be, plug in all the telemetry, the communications, make sure the optics are good, and then coordinating all that, and so we're ready to launch on launch day. So having that as a background, and then get to see it go, is very fulfilling and amazing. And each time I say a little prayer.
All right, and then also just could you go over some of the things you guys have coming up, like things you might be looking forward to, or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we have launches coming up every month, so those things, but they never get old. And I'm telling you what, I fully believe that the first one I saw is going to be just as exciting as the last one I'm going to see. But some exciting things that we have coming up in here in the future. Well, I mean, on the base itself, we've got a solar farm. I know that doesn't sound too exciting when you talk about space launch, but we've got a solar farm that we're going to be, it's going to be operational, we think, here December, but no later than January, and that's going to provide 35% of the base power. So, you know, that's nice to have.
Is that the one over by the old school? Like
yeah, that's correct. Yeah, you'll see it off on the left-hand side if you come out of the gate and turn right toward Lompoc. So that's moving along very quickly. You know, working with our launch providers. I know we've got a launch in March timeframe. That's actually going to be sending a mission to Mars. So we're real excited about that one happening. We have a commercial provider come in and looking at providing us a golf course out here. I'm not sure if you're familiar with our golf course history. It's a sordid tale.
So it closed down, right, last year?
It did, yeah. Due to water cost, it closed down. Had to shut it down. It was too expensive, couldn't maintain it. There's a commercial contractor who's very interested. They've walked the land. They think it's, you some of the best land that they could have for to build a golf course. And we're working now with the Air Force to make sure that the Air Force is satisfied with the contract, that the contractor is satisfied. We're getting close to a point here where they can put signatures on paper, and if that goes to fruition, we're looking at 3 18-hole courses out here. It's open to the public. It'll be a public course, but on government land, and I think it'll be a great thing for the local area as well.
Had you, since the course closed, like, have you gotten a lot of feedback? Like, have people been kind of upset, or?
Yeah, actually it's a very interesting question. Nationwide, golf is, I think, down across the nation. So when I mentioned I do the newcomers brief, for the young folks, there's not a whole lot of interest. When I always ask the class that comes in, hey, who here plays golf? And I maybe have one or two that raise their hand or are interested. But amongst the older generation, like myself, yeah, I still like to go out there and swing. And we have enough, contractors and government civilians who are here on the base, not just active duty, who enjoy the sport. I mean, granted, there's enough here in the local area that we can get our golf fulfillment. But the course that's coming in here is probably going to be one of the premier courses in the nation. And we're excited to have it.
All right.
Hold on, I'm going to look at Robin real quick. What else am I missing as far as big things coming up? I mean, we've got, our standard.
We have our standard. We have the Military Appreciation Day luncheon, the barbecue that the Military Affairs Committee from Longfellow comes out and does for us.
29th
of
September, yeah.
And the
car show on the 23rd.
The exotic car show, that'll be over at
kind of
Shelley Ranch.
Yeah, close targets. Moving in. Yeah. I love doing things with the. I think any opportunity we get to do something with the community is fantastic. Great support from Lompoc and Santa Maria.
All right. I guess kind of switching gears a little bit. Seems like you came in at kind of a lot more attention being paid here lately because of the stuff with North Korea and stuff going on around the world, I guess, in the country. Like, has that led to any changes here on base as far as how you guys handle things?
Not particularly. The Missile Defense Agency, who's really the ones who are responsible for, that aspect of the mission. They have their section on base, and if we're here to support them. If they need something, we're here. But it really hasn't had a big impact on us. So we provide them what they need, make sure that they have what they need to do the mission.
All right. So I mean, as far as like threat levels or things like that, there's been no real.
No. Yeah, nothing from our standpoint. I mean, obviously we're attuned to what's going on, and things, from the wing standpoint of what, people sometimes make a connection. When we do, not only do we put satellites into orbit, we also launch Minuteman IIIs, ICBM missiles out of here. But it's operational test and evaluation. So there's not a hidden message behind it. I think a lot of times people want to go, oh look, they launched a missile. That's in reply to what North Korea did. No, if it happens to coincide with something, then it's just a coincidence. What it takes to launch these things, it is years out in planning. So if something happens to take place around the same time that North Korea is doing something, it's a pure coincidence.
Okay. And then going back to what you said about with the working with local communities, like are there other, like I know you mentioned the barbecue and the car show, like are there other partnerships or things?
Oh yeah, well, man, they provide a lot of support to us. For like, we have awards programs here on base. Field Grade Officer of the Year or Company Grade Officer of the Year, those kind of things. To recognize, we don't really have the resources, as embarrassing as it might be, to really recognize properly the great work that our active duty are doing and our government civilians. And so what the local community does, they partner with us, and they provide a lot of nice things as far as an awards basket, if you will. And so they really support us in our annual awards and our quarterly awards. And that's just you know, Robin mentioned the barbecue that we're having. That's fully paid for by that's Lompoc in this case. Yeah. And you know, when they're inviting you know, the active duty members to come out and have you know, a lunch with them. It's constant support like that. And then also we try to give back, you know, from our end too, support them in their in their Veterans Day, you know, parades or in, you know, speeches. I think I'm taking part in a football game, kind of at a halftime or a pregame speech or a talk, which I don't know how inspiring.
And then also the veterans stand down with Santa Barbara County.
Oh yeah, there you go.
With volunteers from there.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things that we do, and we're in. I think, at least from my standpoint, that we're in very good communication with them. Robin is really our focal point for that. But I think that they're pleased if they ever need something from the base. Like we had a group in, I think just last week. I give them a mission brief, and they give them tours and things like that. We want them to be aware of what's going on in the base, and certainly don't want to surprise them with you know, anything new that's happening or anything mission related that's coming up that could impact them. And they're very kind to me too. We got a tour of the new hotel that's going up in Lompoc. So, yeah.
You were one of the first people inside?
Well, it was still under construction, but yes, I'd have to say that I probably was one of the. It was myself and some group commanders. Robin went along too, and it was just nice to give us a, hey, this is what you know, what it's going to look like laid out. They're even naming some of their, you know, I think their
suites.
Yeah, their suites there after Rocket. So there was a Falcon suite, there was a Delta suite, yeah. So I thought that was just a nice little touch to make that connection between the community and the base.
All right, kind of along that same line, like how's your family, I guess, adjusting to being here? Or?
Yeah, well, it's a nice place to be, right? I mean, so in my career, I've lived at a lot of northern bases. I've been in Alaska, I've been in Montana, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and Colorado was probably about as far. I did 1 year in Alabama, but that was 1 year. So Colorado is probably the furthest south that I've been. So we've experienced the, you know, kind of the harsh winters, and so I'm looking forward to this this climate here. I've got 2 boys. They both go to Cabrillo, a senior and a sophomore. That was a little bit difficult, the adjustment. Right, you know, for my oldest to do a senior year here, but they're getting along fine. I think that it's, you know, for them now it's a novelty. We're living on a base, you know, right here on the ocean. He's always been interested in, you know, in marine biology, and the school's got a great program there with that. So when he walked in and saw this, you know, big aquarium, he was pretty excited to see that. But they're getting along fine, and my wife, you know. Now she's been here before just from the standpoint of, you know, accompanying me on a TDY, yeah, we are really enjoying the area.
Going back to earlier when you were talking about your father and grandfather they were both in the Air Force?
They were. Yeah.
Was it when you were looking to go into the military? Was it the Air Force specifically or military?
No, it was the Air Force specifically. I think that's because that's all I knew.
Right.
You know, now at this age, you know, I'm obviously more familiar with the other services and think, oh, I mean, don't get me wrong, I still made the right choice. but there's some, you know, I think the Coast Guard is a very exciting mission, and but I knew nothing of them, you know, before coming in, before graduating high school. So yeah, it was pretty much Air Force from the get-go.
But were you? Was it an interest in flying or rockets or anything, or just?
No, but you know, my dad wasn't a pilot, so honestly, I think it was the doing something different, right? I mean, so each job that I have done in the Air Force has been different. Frankly, it was really the travel. The idea that, hey, I'm not going to be at one place all my life. Not that I didn't enjoy San Antonio, but you know, I still remember. I mentioned, you know, I remember living in Arizona. I remember going to Tehran. My family's always been, you know, a little bit adventurous from that standpoint. But even though I lived in one place all my life, from, well, 2nd grade, you know, up through high school, I was always interested in going out and seeing other things, and the Air Force provided that, or I knew it provided that. So that was probably a big factor as to why I joined. And then now looking back on it, you know, obviously I think it was a great decision, or I would have gotten out a long time ago. But the things that I enjoy is, you know, there's a commonality, right, with the people that have joined too. And as I mentioned, right when I came into here at Vandenberg Air Force Base, I immediately, you know, met a group of people that we clicked right off the bat. And so I had a very, very positive experience from day one.
Did you, I think you mentioned when in the change of command, you keep up with a lot of those people you met?
Oh yeah, there's actually two of them, two of my best buds are right here on this base today. And so, matter of fact, when I go fishing on the weekend, one of them is usually with me. So I get to see them on a regular basis. That's a great added benefit of being here. Yeah, they're retired and they're working here as government civilians, but and they don't work in the wing. They're with a tenant unit here on base. But it's nice seeing them. Takes me back to my youth. You know, mission-wise, I guess you can, you know, I mean, from the as a obviously, as you've seen, there's more of a commercial aspect to launch. They bring innovation to launch, and so as a wing, we've it's been good because we've, you know, we had to relook how we do things here. We can't, you know, stay in the same mindset, and so having those, having a commercial launch come into the wing is very good for innovation.
So do you meet with like representatives of these?
Oh, absolutely.
Like SpaceX,
yeah, you bet. Yeah, ULA, SpaceX, anybody who launches on the space, that we have meetings, and you know, to go over launch schedule. Hey, do they have everything that they need to perform the mission? You know, we walk through on launch day what are going to be our procedures and things like that. So we have a lot of interaction. They attend our staff meetings. Yeah, there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth, and that's just what I'm telling you at my level. I mean, heck, with my group commanders, there's daily interaction that takes place.
All right. So yeah, are you pretty excited about, you know, what's coming up here in the next year and a half? Or?
Absolutely. There's more mission coming in, so our ops tempo is increasing as a result. And yeah, like I mentioned, because they're constantly looking at new ways of doing things, that it's exciting to be in the business right now. You know, as you're aware, SpaceX is doing their flyback operations. They're landing on their drone ships right now, but we're going to get to a point here in the not too distant future where they're going to be bringing it back to land here at Vandenberg Air Force Base. So that's coming down the pike. New providers are coming in. Blue Origin, Orbital ATK. These are new, you know, commercial entities that are going to be looking to and wanting to launch out of here. So it's getting prepared for them, and at the same time making sure that we're taking care of our you know, customers that are here, like ULA, like SpaceX. But yeah, this is an exciting time to be in the business.
Remember from the one, I guess it was the commander's briefing last, I don't know, but talking about the possibility of a drone wing or
oh yeah,
a battalion training group.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Usually at the newcomers brief, I mentioned that as well. So that's still in the works right now. It's one of those things. When I first got here, you know, I took command in June, and I was told August there should be a decision. Right, and so here we are in September, and now last week I've been told that by mid-October we should have a decision. Obviously, that's a major muscle movement, right? To create a new wing in the Air Force and then decide where to put it. And if it comes out here, there's a lot of things that we're going to have to do. You know, a lot of building that's going to have to take place if that does come out here. So we're still waiting on a decision. We're excited. We hope it does come out here. We've got the space for it. We've got the airspace. We've got the runway. You know, we've got this beautiful, almost 3-mile-long runway without a flying mission. So, yeah, we're hoping that they come out here, because the main reason why that they were looking at coming out here in the first place was a quality of life issue. It was a quality of life for those personnel who do that mission, and so. Man, it's hard to beat.
Pretty good.
Hard to beat this area when you're talking about quality of life.
Do you know about how many people that would bring if that were to go?
Roughly about 1,800 personnel, 1,700 to 1,800 personnel. And that's just, you know, that's me looking at the initial proposal of them coming here. So that could change, but that was what I saw on paper.
All right, and then